Hey everybody, Derek here. I'm here to bring you another video for The Walking Dead Season 5. And today I'm going to be doing my predictions video for the next upcoming episode this Sunday, which is called Consumed. A lot of things, that we're wondering about as we're going into this episode. One thing that we can clearly see is that it is going to be focused on Carol and Daryl primarily. Whether we are going to see anybody else in the episode, I'm not sure. We might, at the very end, perhaps see Carol, reunite with Beth. We might see a little bit of a scene there between those two. My other thought was that perhaps we may see a scene after Daryl gets back to the church, like how he did in how he did in Four Walls and a Roof, and we may see him reunite with Michonne and the rest of the group inside, and there may be something that they say, and then that's the last thing that cuts off. So there are a couple of possibilities, but it seems like this episode is mostly going to be focused on Daryl and Carol. And again, I just want to say these are just predictions. I don't know necessarily what is going to happen. I just know that basically, based on the previews, this seems to be just primarily Daryl and Carol focused. So I don't really know. And honestly, the trailer and the promos don't really seem to give us a lot to go on in regards to what's going to happen. I can really only predict a few things based on the episode, but I think that they're going to be spending a decent amount of time of it basically tracking the car to the hospital. As we know, when we last left Carol and Daryl off, they were trying to follow that car with the cross on the back of it, because it wasn't the exact car that took Beth, but it was one that it had the cross on the back, which got Daryl going. That could lead us right to Beth. So they were driving after it, and in the promo, there's a promo where basically Daryl and Carol are driving and they're talking about Beth, and they hit this walker and it's trying to cross the road, and then another car behind them flattens the walker's head. And we see Carol after this recommending to Daryl that they should just run the car off the road in front of them because they're running out of gas, and that perhaps that they should run the car off the road, get them, captured, and then figure out a way to get to Beth. I think that what's going to happen right after that, in my opinion, is the car behind them may be, they're either going to be somebody that doesn't know who Daryl and Carol are, that they're not part of the Grady Memorial Group, or they're going to be complete strangers. So I don't really know necessarily who, but I think that it's a very good likelihood that this is another car that's going towards Grady Memorial, and they may run Daryl and Carol off the road themselves because they're driving towards the particular direction that the other car is going, which may result in Daryl and Carol going on foot. Or that might not happen until later on, because one of the things that we see is it goes from night to day, so something obviously happens in between there. And one of the things that I was thinking about was that perhaps they might get run off the road, or they might run out of gas too soon, but they might be somewhere near the vicinity that they're able to travel on foot. And we see that they will be doing that. They will be, attacking a bunch of walkers. They're going to be, trying to hide from them. And another thing that I was looking at was there's a promo where, and this was shown on Talking Dead, where we see Daryl burning a body that, is probably, I would assume it's a female, and I'll give my reasons why later. And basically, Daryl brings the body wrapped out in a blanket and lays it in a fire where it's burning. Now, one of the things that we notice also in that scene is there's already another body burning inside that fire. At least I'm pretty sure when I saw that there was another body that was burning. And one of the things that I was thinking about was maybe Daryl and Carol take refuge in some place or some house or something like that, or some apartment complex, whatever you may, because they are burning the bodies on top of a roof, it looks like. So, how'd they get up there, we don't know. But perhaps they might run into people that are alive and end up dying within the episode because they get attacked by walkers or something happens. And the other possibility is that they may run into walkers and kill them, and potentially the walkers remind Carol about Lizzie and Mika, or maybe even Sophia, and maybe they just feel like, it's something that they need to do, to pay respect to, the dead. Because one of the things that they taught us in, Walking Dead is you bury the ones you love and you burn the rest. But, you can't really bury somebody in that particular kind of situation. And, obviously there's something special about these bodies that they're burning. Because otherwise, why would they do it? Why would they take the time out to do this? And some people were saying on like forums or chats or something that they think it's Beth. Well, I don't think that's right. I mean, no offense, but I just don't see how we can do that because, Carol is in the hospital captured. So that would mean that she would have to get captured on pretty early, and then we would have to feature, Beth and, all that going on. And I just don't think that they're going to do that because there's too many scenes in the trailer that makes me think that it would take up enough time that there just wouldn't be enough opportunity for that. And I really don't think that they would kill Beth off like that. I think they have a lot more respect for the character, that if they were going to kill her off, they would do it in the mid-season finale, which I think if a death is going to happen on the show with one of the main characters, that's when it's going to happen. I personally think that the bodies that they are burning are potentially walkers that they discover that are like little girls, or like, the ages of Sophia or Lizzie or Mika, and Carol is just so overcome by the moment that she breaks down, because we know that nobody knows about Lizzie and Mika except for Tyrese and Carol, because that's obviously not something that you would, necessarily want to share. I don't blame them for being like, hey, yeah, we broke, we left with Lizzie and Mika, and yeah, Lizzie went, crazy and killed Mika. I mean, and then I had to kill her. I don't think that that's something that you would necessarily want to share. I'm sure that people would understand, but I just think that it's really not going to help anybody to share that information. But Carol may be overcome with some emotion by seeing these bodies that, it's something that she wants to do, in order to, pay respect, I think. And I think that there's a very good possibility that Carol may open up to Daryl about what happened. Because we know that Daryl and Carol have such a very strong connection that I feel like Carol is willing to trust him with that type of information, and also she would feel comfortable revealing that information to him because of the way that he has been to her. And I think it's also, something that she would like to get off of her chest as well. I mean, that's a very hard burden to carry, no matter what. And I think that, by telling Daryl that, it may strengthen their relationship. And we may see that in the episode. We don't really get a lot of chances, and I mean, especially since the fourth season premiere was really the last time when we saw just Daryl and Carol primarily by themselves for an extended period of time. They had that one scene in the fifth season premiere where they hugged, and then you had Daryl and Carol, the scene afterwards where, in the second episode where, Carol says that she doesn't want to talk about it. And we've seen a couple of, scenes between them, but this is really like the first time that we're really going to have, really an episode just with them. And I think this is a very good opportunity to really, strengthen their relationship or take something to the next step, or, explore a little more. And I have no doubt that there may be a very good chance that she will tell Daryl what happened with Lizzie and Mika and confess what happened. And I mean, I don't know if they would necessarily talk about Karen and David. I feel like that's kind of, it's already out there. Daryl already says he doesn't want to talk about it, if she doesn't want to. I don't think that's really as much of an issue with Daryl, but I think that, having that information come out about Lizzie and Mika might be a little more interesting to explore. So I think there's a very good chance that might come out by the end of the episode. Another thing that I was looking at was, obviously within this episode, I think it's pretty much established that by the end of it, Carol has to get captured, in some way. Because obviously, as we know in Slabtown, Carol is wheeled into the hospital, and we're wondering what's up. And what's interesting is, the season 5 trailer that was introduced at Comic-Con has scenes even from this episode, which is so insane. I mean, I was thinking to myself, how many episodes are usually in the trailer, and before it's usually been about anywhere from 4 to 5. And this is the 6th episode, and there are still scenes from that trailer that are going to feature in this episode. And one of those is a van going off of a bridge. And I'm like, whoa, like how the heck did that happen? And I think I saw in the promo that it had a cross on the back of it. One of the things that I was thinking about was perhaps they may meet up, like it's basically established by the Grady Memorial people that it's the meeting place. So they, might bring their supplies to that van, load them up, and then the group goes back to Grady Memorial, because you don't want to necessarily waste all the gas in one car. So sometimes what some groups might do is, here's a car where, we can get from point A to point B, stop, get in this car, and we go from point B to point C. So it may be a midway point, which is very possible. And perhaps Daryl and Carol might follow them to that point eventually, and it may result in, the group getting captured. Because one of the things I was thinking about was, that van goes over a bridge. And perhaps there's a struggle with, it might be with walkers, it might be with the people at Grady Memorial, but there may be a clash of these groups at some point that result in that van going over the bridge. And that may be the part where Carol is captured and Daryl gets away. Because he can't really do anything in that situation. So that might be what causes Carol to get captured. And then, we might see, like, after that, Daryl wandering around, and then he runs into Noah. Because I think it's pretty established, too, that they have to pretty much get these connections in this episode. Otherwise, they're just going to be rushing too much into the 7th episode and the 8th episode. I feel like they really need to be focused on Abraham's group and Rick's group and Daryl and, Beth. And I think that, they really need to get Daryl reconnected with the group, with Noah, by the end of the episode. So I think that after Carol gets captured, Daryl might again go wandering around, might be ticked off as heck because he's lost somebody else. That's the thing. I mean, Daryl lost Beth, and now he's somehow probably going to lose Carol. And I don't think that, I was initially predicting that maybe Carol intentionally meant to get captured, but if the van crashing over the bridge is the reason why Carol is, on a stretcher and being wheeled into the hospital, then maybe it wasn't intentional, that's how it happens, but Daryl's able to get away. Daryl may feel responsible again for losing somebody else, and he runs into Noah, and basically, Noah shares with him, hey, there's this place, I know this girl named Beth, blah, blah, blah. Daryl and them go back to the church, say, hey, we got to go. And, I think that the episode is going to end, I think, with Daryl and Noah arriving at the church. And basically maybe there's a scene with maybe Rick and some of the people at the church in that final moment. And the next episode can really be focused on, all 3 different groups, Beth and Carol, Abraham's group and Rick's group converging onto, what's going to happen near the finale. Because I think there's no doubt the rescue is probably going to happen in the finale. And again, it's like I said, there is a very good chance that, Abraham's group might try to go back to the church might run into Rick's group, or they might end up going, oh, we need to take Eugene to a hospital so that we can help him. Because who knows, maybe somebody like Abraham might have medical experience. It's possible, combat. Sometimes in combat, some people are taught, how to do certain things to treat somebody that's been wounded. Perhaps he may be able to help, so they might try to go to a hospital to help Eugene, and that might be where the groups converge. That or Abraham and the group go back to the church and then basically go to Grady Memorial. So that's how I think, at least episode 6 is going to end and how the rest of it's going to happen. Again, not a lot necessarily, but I think that really, if they play it right, this can be a great episode that can lead into, the last 2 episodes very beautifully. So I'm looking forward to it. But I'm going to bring this video to a close, and I want to thank you all for watching. If you have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I have more videos coming. And if you guys have any video topics that you would like to suggest, don't be afraid to do so. Something I find it harder to do this season for Season 5 is to really make videos to predict things, because they've really been, limiting what you can really predict. At least it's worth making a video. I don't want to waste anybody's time and try to, make a video that's unnecessary. But if there's something I'm missing and you guys want to hear about it, don't be afraid to suggest a video topic. I always welcome them. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.